Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. On Tuesday, a senator introduced what is called the PELOSI Act. In today's video, we need to break down everything about this bill and what you really need to focus in on, because it is not what you think. So first, PELOSI is an acronym, which is obviously a troll and a play on the name from the famous former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. And the acronym is this, because I don't want to get it wrong. It is the Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments Act. Now, that is normal, right? It is something we should do. There is no law preventing any member of Congress from buying and selling stocks based on the things that they know in Congress. And they are privy to some pretty important information. Perhaps most famously, there was a congressman in 2020 that sold all of his stocks right before the coronavirus pandemic hit. And he knew how bad things were going to get, again, before everybody else knew it. So he was able to save a whole lot of money by getting out of the market at the perfect time, which is not fair, right? Everybody else was blind to that information. We don't get to sit on these committees and all that type of stuff. So it should absolutely be illegal. I don't think anybody really disagrees with that. There are two problems, though. One problem is naming it after one person, and this one person, while is polarizing, isn't necessarily the best thing to do for two reasons. She ain't the only one. And in fact, here is a list of dozens of congressmen who have traded and have done quite well in 2022. Remember, the year 2022 was the worst year for the stock market since 2008. You've got two people on this list that made more than 50% last year, and notice who is at the bottom. Nancy Pelosi. And technically it is her husband who makes a lot of these trades. Another reason why this is really trending on Twitter and in other spaces over the last 2 days is because they, particularly her husband, again, sold shares in Google about 4 weeks before a Department of Justice investigation came out on Google, and obviously Google shares did drop a bit. We also know Google's earnings is coming up here pretty soon. Also, if you remember the CHIPS Act, just so happened that they happened to buy, I think it was buy shares of Nvidia, and all of a sudden the CHIPS bill passed just a few days or a few weeks later. So yes, these things are suspicious, but again, to name it, of all the 400 or 500, how many members of Congress it is, to name it after one person, even though you just saw a list of everybody who beat the S&P 500 by a mile, is not necessarily fair. I think that's just, that was unnecessary. It was totally unnecessary. But it is something which she should pass, and it's also not the first time that we have tried to get something like this on the books. The solution here is obviously for people in Washington to get together and pass something that's helpful. It doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but aside from that, we do want to make sure our members in Congress have what is called a blind trust. That means that when they get in office, and I think this bill says within the first 6 months or something of being in office, they basically turn their assets over to a financial advisor or someone. They don't know what it is they invest in. The congressman themselves doesn't know what they invest in, and that person basically gives them an index fund, and it just does what it does, and they're not able to get in and say, hey, I want you to go buy and sell this stock, so on and so forth. It's completely blind. And then when they leave office, if they leave office, because there should be term limits too, but aside from all that, they can then go and do whatever it is they want to do with that money. That is how it is supposed to work. And in some industries and other countries, they tend to do this on a regular basis. But right now, it is not required. I don't know how we've gotten this far without it being required. And right now, as long as they report it, it's just free out there and open information. If you want to track what some of these politicians are doing, and I mean, I'm interested in tracking now, seeing that somebody made 50% in 2022. There are a lot of different sites to do it. Some are free, some are not, but it is required. So there are a few government sites. You can just Google, like, Congressman trades. We actually did a video on this not too long ago. Unusual Whales got famous. That's an account on Twitter. They got famous for tracking these types of things, so you can go there for some information. That is exactly where I got the chart that you saw earlier. So that is what everybody is talking about with the PELOSI Act. Will it pass? I mean, it should. It probably won't because it didn't get passed the last time that this was brought up, right before midterms in last session. So in 2021, 2022, because it's 2023 now. But in 2022, this exact same issue was brought up right around the CHIPS bill. Everybody said that, hey, we should do this, and we never heard from it since. But again, I don't think it should be named that. It could be literally named anything. The same exact issue came up last year, and it wasn't named the PELOSI Act. This is kind of like an immediate thing to get people to talk about it, which I guess I'm doing. But in either case, yes, it should be passed. It is important to do, and these people be making a lot of money by knowing some of that information. And again, the only good thing I can see here is that at least we get to see it, right? At least we get to know what they are doing, and that is public information. If you want to know more about who's trading what and what their portfolios hold and what moves they make, let me know in the comments, and we can do an entire breakdown. We can go person by person if you want, or we can just kind of, do whatever it is to really break down and kind of, I don't want to say expose, but analyze some of the moves that are being made and how that may or may not make sense. So if you want that, let me know. But I just wanted to come out here and explain what the PELOSI Act was and what it means and what it could mean for Congress in the future and what it means for us as individual investors. All right, that is it for me. Last thing, you want to make sure you join the members only because I've got a really important stock list that's coming out probably on Friday. So tomorrow's video, I'm going to do a little bit of kind of a breakdown on what areas of the stock market that you really want to focus on this year and kind of go into a little bit more detail. But in the members only version of that, we are going to list names. We're going to talk about individual stocks. This is going to be at least 15, maybe even 20 stocks that you can really build your portfolio around. But it's only going to the members. So you want to make sure that you are inside the members only to get that video, as well as the other library of content, of exclusive content rather, that we put out each and every week. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.